Chris Martin, the soulful voice behind Coldplay, is living through one of the hardest moments of his life. After years of love and companionship, Dakota Johnson has decided to end their long relationship, leaving him devastated. The news shocked not only fans but also those close to the couple who had always believed that Chris and Dakota were in it for the long run. People who know them say the separation wasn't abrupt. It was a slow drift that neither could stop. There was no shouting, no public argument, no scandal, just two people quietly realizing that love alone wasn't enough to hold them together anymore. Chris had always described Dakota as his calm in the storm, someone who grounded him when fame became overwhelming. And now, that calm has vanished. Friends reveal that Chris has been pouring his emotions into music. During late nights in the studio, he's been writing songs that capture the heartbreak he's struggling to put into words. His bandmates say they can feel it. Every chord he plays, every lyric he hums carries a weight that only heartbreak can create. Some who've heard snippets of the new material describe it as hauntingly beautiful, filled with longing and quiet sorrow. Meanwhile, Dakota has thrown herself into work. On film sets, she remains focused, smiling when cameras are around, but those who know her say there's a melancholy in her eyes. She isn't bitter or angry. She simply needed space to grow on her own terms. She still loves Chris, said a close source, but she realized she couldn't keep sacrificing her own dreams to fit into his world. Their love story had always been one of privacy and peace. They were rarely photographed together, yet when they were, their connection was undeniable. Chris once said in an interview that Dakota was his safe place. They lived quietly between Malibu and London, cooking, writing, and enjoying nights under the stars. They didn't chase attention, they avoided it. And maybe that's why their breakup feels so raw. It wasn't built on drama, but on real emotions that slowly unraveled. As word of their split spread, fans flooded social media with disbelief. Many refused to accept it, convinced that they would find their way back to each other. Some pointed out that Chris seemed distant during recent Coldplay shows, his performances more emotional than ever. During one concert, he paused before singing Fix You, his eyes closing for a moment too long, as if he was lost somewhere far away. It didn't take long for fans to connect that moment to Dakota. Sources close to the band say Chris has been retreating from the spotlight, spending more time alone in Malibu. He walks the beach at dusk, sometimes with his guitar, sometimes in silence. Music has always been his way of healing, and it seems to be the only thing keeping him steady now. A friend described him as heartbroken but hopeful, saying, "Chris believes that everything happens for a reason. He's trying to find meaning in the pain." As for Dakota, she has been focusing on personal growth and independence. After years of being known as part of a couple, she's rediscovering what it means to stand alone. People who work with her say she's more confident, more sure of herself, but there are still moments when the memories of Chris surface. "You can tell she misses him," a friend admitted. They were such a big part of each other's lives. That kind of connection doesn't just disappear. Those close to both stars insist there was no betrayal or infidelity, only the unavoidable weight of time, distance, and change. Chris's world is built on touring and music, Dakota's on film sets and scripts. Their lives kept pulling them in opposite directions, and eventually, love couldn't keep up with the pace. Still, their breakup wasn't bitter. They continue to speak occasionally, sending messages of encouragement, checking in, wishing each other the best. Their story has become a symbol of mature love, one that ends not with chaos, but with respect. It's rare in Hollywood, where so many relationships collapse under pressure. Chris and Dakota chose peace. They chose to let go gracefully rather than destroy what they had built. And that decision alone speaks volumes about who they are. In one of his rare public comments, Chris recently spoke about love and loss without mentioning Dakota by name. He said, "Love is never wasted. Even when it ends, it changes you. It teaches you." Those words hit home for millions of fans who understood what he meant, that even heartbreak can carry beauty. Friends believe that time will heal them both. Chris will continue to sing his pain into melodies, and Dakota will continue to shine on screen, her strength and elegance inspiring others. Whether or not they ever cross paths again, their story has already left a lasting mark, not just in Hollywood, but in the hearts of those who believed in real, quiet love. Some say this may not be the end, that sometimes love takes a pause, only to return stronger when the time is right. Maybe years from now, when their worlds align again, they'll find each other under the same stars they once shared. But for now, their paths have diverged, and all that remains is the echo of what once was. Two souls who loved deeply and learned to let go gracefully. Chris's latest performances have carried a new emotional depth. He smiles at the crowd, but his eyes tell another story, one of gratitude, loss, and quiet resilience. And Dakota, often seen at premieres and events, carries herself with poise, her elegance shadowed by a touch of sadness. Their love story reminds the world that not all endings are tragedies. Sometimes they're simply transitions, the kind that lead to growth, self-discovery, and new beginnings. Chris and Dakota may no longer be together, but the love they shared remains alive in the songs he sings and the strength she shows. Love, after all, doesn't always mean forever. Sometimes it means letting go, even when your heart isn't ready. And in that quiet, painful truth lies the beauty of their story, one that will continue to resonate long after the music fades. Weeks have passed since the breakup between Martin and Dakota Johnson made headlines, yet the world still can't stop talking about it. Fans replay old interviews, rewatch public appearances, and analyze every lyric Chris has sung since the news broke, searching for hidden clues, trying to understand how something so seemingly solid could quietly fall apart. Behind the scenes, those close to them describe two people still learning how to exist without each other. For nearly 7 years, Chris and Dakota's lives were intertwined in the most intimate ways, shared routines, private jokes, and late-night conversations that only they understood. Now, that silence feels heavier. Friends say Chris often finds himself reminiscing about the simplest moments, Dakota reading scripts in the corner of the room while he strummed his guitar, the way she would tease him for humming the same melody over and over, or the quiet comfort of holding hands on long walks by the ocean. He's still processing it, one insider revealed. Chris isn't someone who moves on quickly. He loves deeply, and when he loses that love, it stays with him. The people around him have noticed subtle changes. He's more introspective, spending hours writing in his notebook, sometimes not saying a word all day. But those who know him best understand that this is how he heals. Every heartbreak becomes a song. Every memory becomes a verse. Dakota, too, has felt the weight of their separation, though she hides it well. Her recent interviews show a woman composed and focused, but there are fleeting moments, a pause before a question about love, a soft smile that fades too soon, that reveal her lingering sadness. Dakota is incredibly strong, a close friend shared. But she's human. She misses him. They shared something genuine, and it's not easy to walk away from that. For both of them, the breakup wasn't about anger or betrayal. It was about evolution, two people changing, growing, and realizing that the versions of themselves they were when they met no longer fit who they've become. Chris, The poetic musician with a deep spiritual core has spent the last few years exploring purpose beyond fame. Dakota, the fiercely independent actress, is entering a new chapter in her career, producing films and expanding her creative control. They love each other, but they were no longer aligned, explained one Hollywood insider. And neither wanted to hold the other back. What makes this story even more poignant is how much mutual respect remains. Chris still speaks fondly of Dakota to friends. He refers to her as someone who brought peace and light into his life. Meanwhile, Dakota continues to admire him as an artist and as a man who treated her with kindness. There's no bitterness between them, only an ache for what used to be. Fans have noticed that Coldplay's performances since the breakup have carried a new kind of emotion. During one show, as Chris sang Everglow, his voice cracked on a single line, "And I hear your heart beating in me," and the crowd fell silent. Some fans swore they saw tears in his eyes. That clip went viral, sparking thousands of comments like, "He's singing to Dakota," and "You can feel his pain." It reminded the world that behind every superstar is a human heart still learning to heal. Despite the heartbreak, neither Chris nor Dakota seems lost in despair. Instead, both appeared to be embracing transformation. Dakota has been spending time with close friends, traveling, and focusing on upcoming film projects that she's passionate about. She's been spotted smiling again, not because the pain is gone, but because she's learning to carry it gracefully. Chris, on the other hand, is said to be writing some of the most honest music of his life. People close to the band describe the new songs as raw, emotional, and full of meaning. One track reportedly includes the lyric, "You were my calm in a world that never sleeps," a line that fans believe is clearly about Dakota. Whether it makes the final album or not, it's proof that she still lives in his melodies. The breakup has also changed how fans see both of them. Instead of the picture-perfect couple, they're now seen as real people, flawed, emotional, and brave enough to choose what's right for their hearts. Many see Dakota as an example of strength and self-awareness, and Chris as the embodiment of vulnerability and sincerity. Together, they represent a modern kind of love, one that doesn't need to end in bitterness to be real. Insiders say there's still warmth between them. They occasionally text, checking in on each other, sharing small updates about their lives. They're not cutting ties, one mutual friend confirmed. They've just redefined what they are to each other. It's not love in the romantic sense anymore, but it's still love, transformed into gratitude, respect, and understanding. Those who have seen Chris lately describe him as quiet but optimistic. "He's heartbroken, yes," said a close companion, "but he believes everything happens for a reason. He's not bitter. He's thankful that he got to love someone like Dakota." And Dakota, when asked recently about how she approaches life after heartbreak, answered in a way that made headlines. "You carry people with you," she said softly. "Every person you've loved shapes who you become. Their words, their silence, and their lingering connection paint the picture of two people who may no longer be together, but who will forever be part of each other's stories. It's possible that one day, the world might see them share the same space again, maybe at a concert, maybe at a quiet dinner, maybe in a moment that no cameras catch. But even if that never happens, their love remains etched in time, in the songs Chris writes, in the strength Dakota carries, and in the millions of hearts that believed in their story. Love doesn't always end with forever. Sometimes it ends with understanding. And for Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson, that understanding has become something beautiful, a bittersweet melody that will never truly fade.